Have you ever wondered why so many parts of the Bible don't quite add up? What if I told you that the real teachings of Yeshua, the man we know as Jesus, were hidden from us for thousands of years? What if everything we thought we knew about him was just the surface of something far deeper? Brace yourself, because today we're diving into secrets that have been kept hidden for centuries. Secrets that could change everything you thought you knew about religion, reincarnation, and the mysteries of the ancient world. Stay tuned, because what we're about to reveal will blow your mind. For centuries, the story of Jesus has been told as a simple tale of divine intervention, miracles, and salvation. But when you start digging deeper, there's a far more complex narrative. A narrative that includes ancient wisdom, forgotten teachings, and mystical secrets that go beyond the mainstream Bible stories we've been taught. Today, we're going to explore a whole new perspective on Jesus, his true identity as Yeshua, the teachings that were erased, and the connections to ancient Egyptian mysteries that have been hidden away for millennia. But before we go on, you need to understand something crucial. Yeshua was not just some spiritual figure born out of thin air. He was a man who walked the earth, a man who journeyed through places like Egypt, Tibet, and India, studying mystical practices that most of us have never even heard of. His story is not just about salvation. It's about a profound, hidden truth that the world has tried to erase. We're told in the Bible that after Jesus was born, he and his family fled to Egypt to escape King Herod's massacre of infants. But what most people don't know is that this event wasn't just a random escape. It was the beginning of Yeshua's journey into a world of ancient wisdom and hidden knowledge. The Bible mentions this in Matthew 2:13, but it leaves out the real significance of this journey. Why did Yeshua go to Egypt? What did he learn there that was so important? Well, the truth is, Yeshua didn't just go to Egypt to hide. He went there to study the ancient Egyptian mysteries, mystical teachings that had been passed down for generations by the ancient priesthood. He wasn't just hiding out in Egypt. He was undergoing an intense spiritual education, one that connected him to the very essence of the universe. In fact, the house where he and his mother lived in Egypt is still standing today as a shrine in Coptic Cairo. This wasn't just a story. It was a real place, a real event, a real part of his life. But what happened next? Where did Yeshua go after Egypt? And why is this part of his story so often overlooked? The answer lies in a mysterious text called the Gospel of the Holy 12. This ancient manuscript, which has been largely hidden from the public, tells the story of Yeshua's travels and spiritual studies during the years when he disappears from the Bible, years between the ages of 12 and 30. The Gospel of the Holy 12 reveals that during this time, Yeshua went not only to Egypt, but also to Tibet and India. In these distant lands, he learned practices like Reiki healing, energy movement, and even the art of meditation, all of which became key aspects of his later teachings. Why has this part of his life been erased? Why do we only know about his birth, death, and a few key miracles? The answer lies in the politics of religion and the control of knowledge. You see, during the early centuries of Christianity, certain texts, like the Gospel of the Holy 12, were deliberately excluded from the Bible because they contradicted the mainstream narrative that the church wanted to establish. These texts, which shed light on Yeshua's deeper teachings, were deemed too controversial, too advanced for the average believer. Instead of allowing people to understand Yeshua as a spiritual master who taught about reincarnation, meditation, and the mysteries of the universe, the church chose to focus on a simpler, more controlled narrative. The deeper you dive into these teachings, the more you start to see the connection between Yeshua and the ancient Egyptian mysteries. Yeshua's teachings on energy healing, consciousness, and the eternal nature of the soul align almost perfectly with the teachings of Thoth, the ancient Egyptian god of wisdom and writing. In fact, many scholars believe that Yeshua's teachings are directly influenced by the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, a sacred text that predates Christianity by thousands of years. The Emerald Tablets describe an ancient spiritual system that focused on the idea of reincarnation, energy healing, and the eternal flow of life. These concepts are strikingly similar to the teachings that Yeshua would later share with his followers. Thoth himself speaks of regeneration and the transfer of consciousness, saying that he could descend into the halls of Amenti, a mystical realm where souls could be rejuvenated and brought back into new bodies. Sound familiar? If you look closely, Yeshua's teachings about eternal life and the resurrection align perfectly with these ancient ideas. But how could this be? Was Yeshua simply repeating the teachings of Thoth, or was he an embodiment of the same wisdom that existed in ancient Egypt? Could it be that Yeshua was not just a spiritual leader, but a direct student of these ancient mysteries? Let's dive deeper into one of the most misunderstood and often overlooked teachings associated with Yeshua: reincarnation. For many, the concept is controversial or even contradictory to modern Christian doctrine. Yet, if we turn to the Apocrypha, the hidden scriptures that were excluded from the Bible's official canon, we find compelling evidence that Yeshua not only understood reincarnation, but also considered it a fundamental part of spiritual growth and the soul's journey. Reincarnation, in essence, is the belief that the soul doesn't live just once, only to perish or face eternal judgment, but instead returns to the physical world repeatedly. Each lifetime offers an opportunity to evolve, to learn, and to progress toward ultimate spiritual enlightenment. For Yeshua, this wasn't a fringe belief, it was a core tenet of his teachings. He spoke of life as an eternal flow, a divine rhythm where every soul has the chance to refine itself through experiences, challenges, and growth across multiple lifetimes. This concept wasn't unique to Yeshua's time. Many ancient cultures embraced reincarnation as a central spiritual truth. In Egypt, for instance, the soul was seen as eternal, cycling through lives to reach higher states of consciousness. The Egyptians believed in a journey through various stages of existence, guided by cosmic laws and divine wisdom. Similarly, Yeshua's teachings reflect a vision of life, not as a one-time event, but as a dynamic process where the soul continuously strives toward unity with the divine. If we return to the canonical Bible with this perspective, we begin to see echoes of reincarnation in Yeshua's words. In the Gospel of Matthew 11:14, he speaks of John the Baptist as the reincarnation of Elijah, saying, "And if you are willing to accept it, he is Elijah who was to come." This isn't just a vague metaphor, it's a direct acknowledgement of the soul's ability to return. Yeshua also tells his disciples that some among them may live again in different forms in future ages, suggesting a continuity of existence far beyond one earthly life. Why, then, is reincarnation largely absent from mainstream Christian teachings? The answer lies in the early church's efforts to consolidate power. In the centuries following Yeshua's time, church leaders sought to establish a simplified doctrine that emphasized sin, salvation, and eternal judgment, concepts that were easier to control and enforce. Reincarnation, with its implications of personal spiritual responsibility and infinite second chances, was seen as a threat to this structure. If individuals believed they had multiple lifetimes to grow and connect with the divine, the authority of the church as the sole gateway to salvation would be weakened. So, the teachings on reincarnation were deliberately excluded from the Bible, deemed too radical for the rigid framework the early church was constructing. However, these teachings survived in the Apocrypha and in other ancient texts. For seekers willing to look beyond the surface, the truth is still there, waiting to be rediscovered. Reincarnation wasn't just a mystical idea for Yeshua, it was a profound understanding of the soul's journey through eternity. It's a reminder that life is not a singular event, but a sacred process. Each lifetime is a step closer to enlightenment, an opportunity to grow into the fullness of divine love and wisdom. By embracing this truth, we can begin to see our struggles and experiences not as punishments, but as essential pieces of our spiritual evolution. Yeshua's message about reincarnation invites us to look at life with fresh eyes, to see every moment as part of a grand, eternal journey. It's a perspective that not only deepens our understanding of his teachings, but also offers profound hope and purpose to our own lives. And speaking of transformations, there's a shocking wealth secret from a rogue NASA scientist that's already gone viral in the spiritual community, changing millions of lives. Check the link in the comments before it's gone. It could change yours too. Now let's dive back into Yeshua's hidden teachings. Now let's explore the idea of Yeshua's virgin birth and the mysterious bloodline that has been passed down through the ages. We've all heard the story of Mary's virgin birth, but have you ever considered the deeper meaning behind it? According to certain ancient texts, Mary's mother, Yeshua's grandmother, was also born of a virgin. This sets up a bloodline that is said to be of divine origin, one that could explain the extraordinary spiritual gifts of Yeshua. But the story doesn't end there. The virgin birth of Yeshua isn't just a miraculous event. It's a method of creating a specific bloodline, a bloodline that was believed to carry certain mystical abilities and divine qualities. This bloodline wasn't meant to be random. It was carefully cultivated through divine intervention, much like the stories found in ancient Egyptian texts. The idea that a child could be born through a virgin birth, without the need for physical union, was not unique to Christianity. It's found in many ancient cultures, including the Egyptians, where gods and goddesses were said to give birth to special beings through immaculate conception. Could this bloodline be the key to understanding Yeshua's true nature? Was he simply a man born into a special family, or was there something far more profound at play? Now let's turn our attention to the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which are said to hold the secrets of the universe. These tablets, which are over 36,000 years old, contain teachings that are remarkably similar to the messages that Yeshua delivered. In fact, many people believe that Yeshua's teachings are directly descended from these ancient teachings. The Emerald Tablets speak of the river of life, a concept that is echoed in the Bible, particularly in the words of Yeshua in the Gospel of John 7:38, where he says, "Whoever believes in me, as the scripture has said, rivers of living water will flow from within them." This living water is thought to be a metaphor for spiritual enlightenment and the flow of divine energy. In a way, the teachings of Yeshua are not just about belief. They are about tapping into a higher consciousness, a state of being where we are connected to the divine flow of life. The Emerald Tablets also mention a concept called the Halls of Amenti, which is a place where souls go to be reborn. Could this be the same concept that Yeshua was referring to when he spoke about being born again? Is this the real meaning behind resurrection? The more you delve into these ancient teachings, the clearer it becomes that Yeshua's message was not just about living a good life. It was about transcending physical death and entering into a new state of spiritual consciousness. The true meaning of resurrection is not about coming back to life physically. It's about a transformation of the soul, a rebirth into a higher state of being. Now that we've explored these hidden teachings, let's take a moment to talk about why they were hidden in the first place. Why were these powerful truths suppressed by the church, and who stands to benefit from keeping the masses ignorant? The answer lies in control. The church, in its desire to maintain power, created a narrative that kept people in fear and dependency. By focusing on ideas like sin, hell, and salvation through obedience, they kept people from seeking the deeper spiritual truths that Yeshua was teaching. Reincarnation, meditation, and self-realization were seen as threats to the established order. If people were to awaken to the deeper teachings of Yeshua, they might realize that they didn't need a church to find God. They could find God within themselves. This is why the teachings of Yeshua have been hidden from us for so long. This is why the church has worked so hard to suppress the truth. But now, in the age of information, the truth is coming to light. More and more people are waking up to the fact that the real story of Yeshua is far more profound than we've ever been taught. So, what does this all mean for us today? It means that the true teachings of Yeshua, his wisdom, his knowledge, his spiritual practices, are available to us now. It means that we can reconnect with the ancient teachings that have been passed down through the ages, and it means that we can rediscover the power of our own souls, just as Yeshua did. The truth has been hidden for thousands of years, but now it's time for us to uncover it. Yeshua wasn't just a religious figure. He was a teacher, a mystic, and a guide who understood the deeper nature of the universe. It's time for us to embrace his teachings and unlock the full potential of our own consciousness. Thank you for watching, and remember, the truth is always waiting to be discovered. All we have to do is seek it.